Oh my God, that felt so real. I need to call somebody. There's just this space that has never been hurt, harmed, or hindered. And it's just a space of calm and peace and of nourishment. I love coming back home. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Because I didn't even introduce today's guest. I was just about to get started. But honey, because this is the type of environment this guest curates within my soul. She's a cool cat. Like I just want to talk all smooth and just be chill and just chill out. It's an environment of peace and serenity. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear all about what she's got going on because honey, the Heart Dayton powerhouse. Like the Heart Dayton is changing the game and not even changing the game. It's just elevating the game. Because I don't want to say change because there's nothing new under the sun. Honey, our ancestors been doing this. But just elevating the game. And I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let her introduce herself to you guys. Please welcome my beautiful sister Darsheel to the show. How are
Thank
you?
you. Thank you. I'm well. I'm well. I'm glad to be here.
Good, good. How's your heart today? How is the heart today?
I haven't been to the heart yet today, but my heart is well. My heart is well. Is happy to be here. Grateful for this moment and opportunities to just be
Yeah.
authentically be. I have a lot to do today, but I'm grateful for the pause. I'm grateful for the pause to just be. And I think that's where my heart and the heart really thrive when we can
Mhm.
just be.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to get straight into what is the heart because this is just a project that you have that it inspires me and it warms my soul to know that there's someone out there doing this type of work and this type and creating this type of healing space. So can you tell us what the heart is and how you got started? How was this even born? And what the evolution of the journey has been like?
Yeah, sure. So the heart stands for the House of Healing Arts. So it's like with a capital A, HE with a capital A. So it's like Healing Arts Makes Heart. And it's a cooperative cultural center in Dayton, in Dayton's Five Oaks neighborhood on the west side. And we're basically a collaborative of artists and healers who have come together with the shared goal of maintaining the space and being able to offer it as a place for us to host and gather for ourselves and our communities. And so that looks like hosting things like healing circles and community building circles, meditation events, group meditations. We eat together. There's men's circle as well. Different cultural events. We have a band, the Lovelocks Experiment, who practices at the heart and gathers themselves. We have a doula collective tribe who come and
Mm.
they do peer support circles for themselves in the space. So we
Wow.
really just this kind of like, venue, healing space, a place to like what we like to say ground, center, and align, to
Yeah.
remember our why for the long journey ahead.
Hmm. Wow. Like how did you start this? Because I can even feel there's someone watching this who heard you say that and was like, "Yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to create." But the how can kind of get sticky. So can you just share like how this journey started for you?
Yeah. Well, without taking the long road to
Yeah.
get there. But I have to say, you know, I came from the activism background. And so I was doing a lot of protesting and occupying police stations and all of this. And you know, there was a lot of energy that we were putting forth, and I saw our collective power. Like I saw the impact that we could have together and that we were having together. But I also saw the ways that we were not healing, and we
Yeah.
needed healing ourselves. And in some ways, the tactics that we were using, the ways the organizations that were coming above us were kind of causing more harm. And so I knew like there was something about us coming together that was needed, but I just knew deep down there was another way. And
Yeah.
so I left the organizing world and I went to grad school to study conflict transformation. It focuses on restorative justice and psychosocial trauma and resilience. And so looking at conflict as the core and then seeing how we can use conflict to transform the scenario, you know, instead of like just quieting it down, right? But like actually getting to the root causes of like why is there a conflict, you know, what's happening here and what needs to be changed and transformed. And so that framework of conflict transformation, and then I was also able to study like what are different communities doing. And this is a global institute. And so I had classmates from all over the globe, and we were studying case studies from all over the globe when it comes to trauma and healing and restorative justice, like communal justice, healing circles, like using the community as a way to define what justice means for the specific people who are impacted by the specific situation, instead of having these like, you know, predetermined laws and stuff that say like, if you do this, this is the punishment, but focusing on healing actually. So if there's a harm, how do we heal and reconnect our fabric together and our relationships with ourselves and one another? So that kind of like really opened my mind to what's possible, as well as me getting to visit and experience healing circles for myself and visit a healing house
Right.
called the Madison House in DC, which was near to where I went to school at. And so I got to actually see like a healing house where I got to experience healing as a participant, participating in free healing circles for people of color. And so, you know, getting to see a place like that really helped as far as like my vision of knowing what's possible.
Yeah.
I came back home to Dayton after that and started just doing circles out of my living room. And I was able to get involved with a field of work called cultural organizing, where it's like parallel to the political organizing, but it's focused on culture and artists and working with artists, because artists are basically the cultural creators. And so how do we work with artists to shift the culture in order as a avenue to shift politics, aka shift the lived experiences of people, you
Right.
know? And so through that work, I was able to actually like get paid and work with some of my comrades, like my friends, to gather ourselves as artists and like really start to like educate ourselves and our community around what were the local issues and like what could we do about it as artists, and how could we be more intentional being influencers, aka creators, you know, of culture, right? How could we be more intentional, right? So we started hosting gatherings and things, but we're always using somebody else's venue. And we ended up getting kicked out of a venue at the last minute before our series was done. And it was just like,
Wow.
yo, this isn't right, because we're paying rent. We're all individually paying rent. And then we're paying our landlords or whoever owns, you know, the places that we're paying. Plus we're trying to like find these venues downtown, but we're not able to really create culture there because we're always coming and going, so we can't leave things on the wall, for example. Like we can't like we were bringing suitcases with us everywhere to like put all
Right.
of our little things up
Mm-hmm.
and then leave. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, there has to be a way where we can more effectively utilize our resources
Mm-hmm.
towards our goals, and then also where we can support each other, right? Because like I'm seeing most of my peers who are some form of like leader or servant in the community. They help others in some kind of
Mm-hmm.
way, but they were not like, none of us were well ourselves. Like we
Yeah.
weren't eating 3 meals a day. Not that
Right.
you have to eat 3 meals a day, but we weren't eating enough.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we're showing up to meetings like hungry, low
Mhm.
energy, like not well. Um, and so I realized like we need each other too. And if and the premise of this whole thing was like, if we pour into each other, into some kind of shared thing, that will inevitably help our individual things that we're trying to do. So
Yeah.
that was the experiment. And so I, have learned over the years to really focus on like my circles, like what are the resources I do have available to me, who are the people in my immediate influence, and operate from that place. And so I was able to actually like write a proposal to my parents to invest in a
Mhm.
space
Yeah.
and create a business model that would cover all of the basic costs for the
Yeah.
space, um, but just have them, put the initial investment down.
Right.
And so they agreed. And so, by the grace of the Most High, I've been like gifted with parents. I chose these parents
Right.
who have the means and the desire to invest in their children.
Yeah.
And so that's, the basics of what happened. And then, I had like the couple people I was working closely with at the time. We kind of all came together and we lived together in the space, and we operated our individual and collective works out of the space.
Yeah.
And that was 4 years ago. So now it's a whole different group of people. Things have
Mhm.
shifted and changed, but the essence is still that. I
Yeah.
think the core is still the same.
When I tell you, listen, you light my soul on fire. Like I'm sitting here and I'm trying to sit here and be calm, but yes, 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 everything about that. Yes, because I am an organizer. So to watch, to be a witness to your journey and like just hear how you came into it and just how you moved and working with the flow and the Most High, like it just really, it's so inspiring to me, because I feel like as organizers we can kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit, um and it can kind of get difficult to know like where to, I'm speaking for myself at this point, where to put my skills to, like, okay, like I know I can do this, but I need this people, and it can get a little sticky and a little crazy. So to see you put your skill set to use in a way that is of service to not only yourself, which is needed, you need to nourish yourself, but also a home where other people can be nourished, like, and not just other people, where healers can be nourished, because who is nourishing us? Like when you said not eating enough, I was like, dang, she's calling me out right now, because like during the day when I'm working, like I'll forget to eat because I'm just focused, and then at nighttime I'm like stuffing my face at 9 p.m. and not making the best choices. So it resonated so heavily. And just thank you to mom and dad, mom and pop, for investing in their babies and seeing the vision. I'm sure they're so proud, like Jesus Christ. Um, so I want to get into something you said about how you had an opportunity to get paid, and how you, when you wrote the business proposal, you showed a business model where this can be funded like on its own. I just want to talk about money, because it seems like such a reoccurring problem in the healing spaces, where the healers, the people who are like putting forth a huge amount of energy, are not getting paid. And even artists and creators, they're not getting paid. So I just want to know, like, just what are your thoughts and opinions on, like, what can we do to mitigate this issue? Because it's so, I see it everywhere I go.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got chills that you even brought up money, because that's been a big area for us to work with, in this project. And it's still very, it's still a very real thing for us. So I'll start with that. The space itself lends, it's like there's so much there. So the original business model, it was very lean. Like, I was not trying to make a profit. Like, what I was trying to do was, I felt like if we could put all of our rent, if we could pay enough rent, then that would cover, all like the basic expenses of the house, and then pay our own
Right.
utilities. But then we could use the space to make our own money doing what we do individually as artists and healers. So like hosting our events, we had a photographer who was living there, and his photo studio was in the house.
Right.
I was hosting circles out of house, I was teaching digitally, virtual classes and stuff. So I was doing that from my apartment inside the house. So it was like, the idea was, if we just, come together and just cover our expenses, then that will give us the energy to like go make our own money out in the world.
Right.
But what I didn't account for at that time was like how much effort and work, labor would go into just running the operation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up, like, at the end of 2021, I ended up like with $0 in my bank account. And it was like a visual representation of like, okay, this is not sustainable.
Right.
Like, I'm creating this place for us to like be more abundant, and like I'm over here come with $0 in my bank account, no food, and nowhere to sleep. And
Right.
so that's not right. so
Yeah.
so we had to kind of shift the whole operation, and now we have a new group, and we have our own, like, this is very present work that like I've personally been working through my own relationship with resources, and my own relationship with like greediness, or the ways that I like the word's
Yeah.
funny, the word covet has been coming to me, and like I've never
Mm-hmm.
used that word in my life, but it's like, no, girl, you be coveted stuff. And what that means, I don't know what the word means really by definition, but what it means to me is like I've got sticky fingers. Like I'd be wanting things, and then I'd be wanting to hold on to the
Mm-hmm.
things, and I'm like craving, desire, not just desire, but like really like longing for, craving, things. And the big lesson that I've had to like shift, like the shift that I'm having to make, and that I've shared with my team as well, is like, I have to reframe my whole concept here, and focus on everything that I do have, and be grateful for it, and like operate in reverence for everything that I have, and live in service to the mission, live in service to everything that I have, and that's the pathway,
Yeah.
getting everything that I need provided for me.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in that, flow of service to what I do have, then if there's something specific that I need, I can ask for that, and it will be provided for me, and I just have to trust that. And so this is like the
Yeah.
messages that I'm getting over the last month, I would say. So yeah, I came home back to Dayton. I've been living in Costa Rica, which we haven't named that yet on this conversation, but I came back home a few weeks ago and did some like deep abundance meditations with my team. And we spent about 30 to 40 minutes like in gratitude prayers, like tears and everything. It was just very powerful energy in the room. And it was like, we asked for forgiveness for every time that we forgot that we already have everything that we need. And, you know, I can't say, this is the answer or not. I'm just like being obedient because that's the only thing I can do at this point. Last year we applied to like a bunch of grants and we got a whole bunch of no's back. So it's just, here we are, and I think there is like, there are energetics around resources and money, and a lot of us do have a lot of baggage, when it comes to our relationship with resources and money and having what we need and scarcity and abundance. So I don't know. I can't say that like I'm living with, I have my financial dreams fulfilled currently, because I don't. But I have everything that I need. So it's like, things are coming through as is the divine plan, I suppose. But it's hard. It's a really hard thing to navigate. And especially, we are diverse people. So even with the heart, like the community that we serve and the people who've been in the house, who've lived in the house and have come from different backgrounds, right? Like I mentioned, my family background and the parents, like I have two parents, they're both here, they're still together, they are still very capable of providing for me and my brother. And they do, so that's a unique circumstance that I have in comparison to some of the other people who've lived in the house, so how do we do like a shared economic situation when we come from different economic backgrounds and our realities are different? That's also very real, so right now we're actually in conversations about becoming a cooperative and seeing how we can even go deeper towards each other when it comes to like how we share our resources. And we're still figuring out what that means, we're still in the beginning talks of that. But from what I'm learning about cooperatives, like one big difference between cooperatives and like the typical like corporation business model is that in a cooperative, your labor, what you put in is what you put out. So it's not, or versus in a regular business, the amount of money that you put in is what determines how much that you take out, and so redefining, what economics means and what is give and take look like. And but then the spiritual side of it too, like I know that we really need to learn again, like how to really give selflessly. We also need to learn how to receive, so if we don't know how to receive, then we're not truly giving selflessly, we're giving selfishly, because we want something in return, right? And so if we can give freely, our hands can be open, we can be open, and then we can receive freely, right? So yeah, it's all of those things.
And no, it's very deep, it's very layered, it's complex, and thank you for your contribution to just kind of unraveling this money block in the healing, in the spirit, especially in the spiritual community. Like it's a money blockage. And I know personally I have some definitions about what money is that hinder me from receiving. And I judge it as almost unspiritual, like it's a part of money's a part of the matrix, and these type of beliefs and definitions that don't invite money in. Like, why would money want to come hang out with me when I'm judging it for being a freaking part of the program or part of the matrix? So yeah, I've definitely been in a space of, first of all, realizing that me giving and not receiving anything in return is just unlawful. It's not how any of this works. Like, it's an energetic give and take. It's an inhale and an exhale. So if I am purposely pushing away what the universe is trying to bring in, I am not operating in flow state, and I am operating unlawfully. And there are consequences to that. There are spiritual and physical consequences to operating unlawfully. So I've just recently made a commitment to just commit to operating within the universal laws, and like you said, being obedient to spirit. Like, I don't care what needs to go and what needs to come. I just want to be obedient, because I've tried every other way. And the only way that seems to work is surrender. Like, the only way where I have purpose and provisions is when I'm in a surrendered state, and I'm not trying to, like you said, covet. I'm not trying to grab. I have a lot of desires in my heart, so it can be easy to get overwhelmed or try to rush divine timing, or thinking that you need something right now, when really, no, if you look around, like, your needs are taken care of. You just want things that aren't currently a part of the now. So I've been really focusing my heart on just accepting what is for what is, and having a surrendered heart, and trusting that the universe will take care of a surrendered heart. Because, honey, this is some deep work. Like, this is some profound stuff. And I'm just tired of spiritually getting my butt kicked. Like, it's it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's complex, and it's layered, but we're here, and I'm grateful that I get to have this time, this moment with you, just to we're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to fix it. We're just trying to understand what's happening within ourselves, and within our own ecosystem, and within our own environment. And it will have like ripples throughout, and just change. Yeah, change.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, like keeping an open heart is so crucial. I mentioned I was recently on a retreat, and that was like probably one of the biggest takeaways that I had from the retreat, was the importance of an open heart, and like how easy it is for us to close it, or kind of constrict when we feel pain, or we feel rejection, or we feel scarcity, right? Or we feel
Mm,
unworthy, or whatever it may be, any kind of unpleasant emotion or feeling, or perception even, then we kind of close our heart a little bit. But then once again, it's like, if we're closing our heart, then we're not able to receive the thing,
mhm,
right?
mm,
So I had just to share like a quick anecdote with that. Like, there was a moment where at the retreat, I was outside, and it was like very cold. We were all outside, and I was just feeling so cold. And I had like this little blanket over me, and it didn't feel like enough. I was just so cold, and put my sweatpants on, and it still didn't help. And I'm like curled up like this, like
mhm,
tight, like on my side. And somebody behind me, like one of the medicine people who was there at the retreat, was playing like a sound bowl.
mhm,
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so cold. And spirit, the voice came to me that was like, open up your heart.
mhm,
Cause I'm like this. Like this. I was like,
mhm.
open my heart, but it's so cold. Like, that's gonna make me even colder. If I,
Yeah.
like, who's like, lay on your back and open your heart. I was like, oh my
Mhm,
gosh. So I did. I like turned on my back. I like put my arms down like this and opened my heart. And the sound from from the bowl
Mhm.
filled my heart and warmed me up.
Wow.
That was the
Wow.
warmth. And it was just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, look at that. Like we'd be
Yep.
like, I'm so cold. And like the warmth is right there.
Mhm.
But we're blocking ourselves from it, you
Yep.
know? Yeah, so I just wanted to share that as kind of a
Yeah.
physical example of the very thing, you know.
Yeah, and it takes that not just the courage to open up, but also like the awareness, like to even hear the guidance, you have to also be open. So we can block ourselves in many ways. Like you can block your guidance, your abundance. Like it's all about deprogramming the fear, like, and just taking a chance on spirit. But we've been programmed to believe that the voices or the spirits are like this woo woo mystical thing. But you have to begin to just develop a relationship with spirit and your own guidance system. And because I can understand, even for me, like I didn't trust my guidance system right away, right off the bat. Like, oh yeah, it's freezing cold and I'm going to open up my body. Like, I can see how someone who has no practice listening to their guidance system would be like, absolutely not. So for those that are listening to this and you're wanting to open up, I just recommend that you start small. You don't have to go chase some big spiritual awakening or anything crazy. Just start by following small impulses and small little whispers that you hear. And over time, you'll build a trust and a rapport with your guidance system. And I want to go, ooh, this reminds me of something you said in the primer call of where I don't know if you used the word shut down the heart, but I remember you had mentioned something about just needing to listen to what the house wanted and not just what you wanted for the house. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I mentioned at the end of 2021, like I there just was this day where it was Christmas actually, Christmas
Mm,
morning, and I like looked at my bank account, I had no money and no food. And I was like, okay, this is not working. Like this isn't right. This is not the way that it's supposed to be. And so I came back to the heart at the beginning of last year and made a difficult decision to end the co-living part of the house. And so everyone moved out and I was in the house by myself. And it was just like, I was ready to try to make moves to sell the house and not, I can't, when I say shut down, I mean the physical operation. To me,
yeah,
I believe in the vision, and
right,
like I can take the vision with me everywhere I go.
right.
But just
That
that
part.
current version of the operation in that house, I was just like, is the time over for this, or what is happening here? And I had not lived in the house alone ever. And it's a pretty big house, and it's old. And so I was
Mm,
scared to be
yeah.
in there alone. And but I had to face that fear and remember, like what is that bottom line? Like if nothing else, like if I'm not operating beyond my means and capacity, what is the one thing that I want to do? Like, what do I feel called to do and led to do still, knowing all of this, like, disillusionment I'm feeling and all the losses I'm experiencing? Like, what is still there after everything's gone? And this is after like a 1 month of intense grieving too.
Mhm.
Like, I was in grief, like, for hours and hours every day for a whole month. And so it's like, okay, I'm letting everything go. I'm letting people go. I'm letting ideas of myself and, my letting fears of failure and all that, letting it
Mhm.
all go. What's still there? And it was circles. Circles
Yeah.
was the bottom line, which is what I came to Dayton after grad school. It was just like circles. That was it.
Right.
And I just do circles everywhere and every opportunity I get. So I started doing circles, and I committed to a series of circles over the summer, but I did not like go out of my way to like market it. I shared it, in the avenues that I had, but I didn't push it, and I made the commitment for myself that even if no one else shows up, I'm going to be in the practice. I'm going
Right.
to do what I know. Yeah, I'm going to do what I know works for me, and that being like my offering to spirit. Like my offering is that I'm going to show up every Friday. I think it was every other Friday,
Mm-hmm.
for the summer, and I'm going to do circle. And whoever
Mm.
shows up, they show up, and I'm not going to get too attached either
Yeah.
direction. And that's what I did. And the idea with that was that, if there's an energy here, me holding the vibration
Mm-hmm.
will call those people in.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so people came, and there was kind of and I mentioned the Love Locks experiment. I met the lead of the founder of the Love Locks experiment, and their logo is a heart with locks on it.
Mm.
And so it was just like, that alignment, right? And so we decided to partner. And then the Doula Collective, we decided to partner because they do circles. So it
Yeah.
was just like circles, heart. Now I have 2 organizational partners.
Right.
Now I can start paying some bills.
Right.
And from there, I ended up developing a leadership team out of the people who were showing up. And we had a 8-week intensive process before I moved to Costa Rica in November.
Yeah.
And so for the months of September and October, we were just in this really intensive process, where we kind of like figured out what this means to be a leadership team. What are the roles that are needed? What is the bottom line, the finances, all of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then we had a soft launch at the end of October, and then I moved, and the team has been running things in my absence for the last
Mm.
few months.
That is the spirit of alignment. I have been surrendered and focused on the spirit of alignment. When 2 things are aligned, you do not have to push them together. You do not have to force them to be. They are aligned, meaning they are naturally built to support each other. And I have just been focused on alignment, like not that push thing and that extreme amount of effort and trying. That is too much. Team too much. Okay, team too much. It's not natural to me. It's not flow state. So thank you for being a demonstration of alignment and sharing that story, because that's a powerful part of spiritual entrepreneurship that I feel like we can kind of get out of, because we're so focused on seeing our vision through to the end and getting to the end point, that we forget that we have to hold the vibration of alignment, and we have to focus and continue checking in with the mission itself. Like, hey, what do you want me to do? Not what do I want to do? What do you want me to do?
This week's radical hero is Kentucky's own Devine Carama. Over the years, Devine's influence on the local hip hop community has opened up the doors of acceptance in a primarily Caucasian city. He's accomplished this by hosting open mic nights where artists can thrive and showcase their talent in a safe environment. Cause honey, ain't nobody shooting up a Devine Carama event. Nuh-uh, honey, he don't play that. Devine has utilized his influence in the community by building a support network for underprivileged youth. Every year, the Believing in Forever coat drive collects funds to purchase coats for Kentucky's kids. Devine has innovated unique ways to get the public's attention and to help fundraise for his annual coat drive. One time, this man went to the courtyard in the middle of winter and started rapping every hour on the hour for 24 hours straight. I believe last year and a couple years ago, he walked in the cold for miles. I'm pretty sure I heard they cut off his toe because he had frostbite. He has also curated dozens and dozens of events and benefit concerts to help bring awareness to his causes and even other causes in Kentucky that help the underprivileged youth. If you would like to follow along on Devine's journey, please click any of the links below.
I gotta go move straight into Costa Rica because, babes, you're leaving us again, right?
Yeah.
Like soon.
Yeah.
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 So why Costa Rica? Like what is there that is just nourishing you that's like, yeah, this is where I need to be?
Yeah. Well, I'll say that part of it is that I am I'm a creature of habit. So like I go places I already am familiar with. So I've been familiar with Costa Rica for about 10 years now. I studied abroad in college, and then I actually moved there after I graduated from undergrad. And so I have experience there, and like there's certain things that I felt there. I was actually the healthiest I've ever been when I was there.
Yeah.
So aside from like the emotional, spiritual healing, my healing journey started as a physical healing journey. I've experienced a lot of physical ailments and different issues that no doctors could help me with. And so it got so bad that I started doing my own research, and that's what, started my healing journey. And so there, I can eat fresh fruits. Like it sounds so silly and basic, but growing up, I consider myself having grown up food insecure, but not in the way that it's typically talked about. I did not grow up in a food desert. I live in, the heart is in a food desert. So I've lived in one the last 5 years, but I grew up surrounded by food actually, but it was all food that was like hurting my body. Like I could not be nourished by it. I knew it was like, felt like it was poison. Once I learned about the food and I learned about my body and what was making my body painful and hurting, then I started seeing what was around me. And it's like there's 50 restaurants and they all got different versions of bread, cheese, and meat. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
And then if there's vegetables, they like soak all the nourishment out of them.
Yeah.
And so just knowing, like being able to be, release myself from like how much pressure and energy and time went into like gathering food that is good for me and nurturing to my body. Like I can focus on other things because I don't have to stress about it. Like I can just eat fruit and I can have a simple diet. And I love that. Like if for people who know me, like if you've ever eaten my food when I cook, it's not the prettiest. Like I'm not gonna make the bowl all, whatever with flowers on it and stuff, but it's gonna be real basic, but it's gonna give you everything that you need. Like there's gonna be some greens, there might be a starch, there'll be some fiber, like you gonna get what you need. And so that's the number one, is like my ability to access like fresh fruits. And then bigger than that, or underneath that, you could say I'm able to live more connected to my environment, so that is the food. But it's just everything. Like I don't have like air conditioning or heat. Like I feel the temperature of outside. If it rains, like it's not a so heavily insulated house that you can't hear the rain. Like I can hear it very loud on my tin roof. So I just feel so much more connected to the earth, and to not just the earth, but to all of the natural world, the moon, the stars, the ocean, the trees, the birds, the flowers. And it's not to say that those things aren't here, but I just feel that there are the way that we have developed our civilization, it's created so many barriers between us physically, physical barriers, right? Like we live in boxes and we work in boxes. So yeah, it's like I just feel a lot more connected down there, and I can feel more free.
Yeah.
I can access, like, in my search for freedom and liberation, and my in my remembering that I am free, right? And like getting to, like, okay, what does that mean? How do I live free?
Right.
And to live free to me means live more in connection, right? And better relationship with everything around me. Because that's the truth, is that I am everything around me. I am connected
Right.
to everything. So being free to live in my truth of connectedness, interconnection. So yeah, that's a few or a lot of the whys. The weather, I just tropical
Mm-hmm.
weather, warm sun. I mean, just
Yeah.
can't.
No.
Waterfalls, fresh water to swim in, and
Yeah. You just painted a dream. I can't wait. What I like to call it is collecting my bones. There are different regions all over the globe where I feel like I have part of me is there and I need to go collect it. So right now I'm moving towards Detroit, Michigan. I have got some things I'm supposed to learn, some bones I'm supposed to collect, some ancestors I'm supposed to honor. But I do know that's not my forever home, because it's not. I need sun, I need ocean, I need sun. I need sun. I don't do cold. I don't. That's not my thing. But for this summer, I'm definitely gonna go just honor and just to learn and absorb the frequency of that location, because I know there's something there I'm supposed to grab. Like every time I go visit, I'm like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm a really big believer of like vibrational codes. And that region has a vibrational code that I need to resonate and align with in order to keep going to the next and the next and the next. And yeah, I'm excited for you and you getting to align again, go back to Costa Rica. I can feel the sun on my face right now. Like, oh, yes, yes. Okay, so the heart Costa Rica. What you thinking? We gonna get one?
yeah, I think so. I mean, right now my focus is like the digital world. Like this year,
Right.
I would like to create a digital platform,
Mhm.
so that the heart can operate,
Yeah,
wherever.
right.
Um, I'm still involved with the heart dating,
Hmm.
just like ever evolving and shifting what my role looks like. But yeah, this year my focus is really going to be like creating some form of online presence. And then yeah, I don't know, we'll see what's going to happen on the ground in Costa Rica. Like, I really like owning land just is like
Hmm.
not resonate with me
Yeah.
at one bit. But I understand, you know logically, I understand the need. I understand the history, right? Like,
Hmm.
I've told spirit, like, look, I'm not keen on owning land, but if you need me to own a piece of you, because that's the way that this, where humans are in society today,
Hmm.
then I will. But don't ever let it get to my head and let me think
Yep.
that I own you.
Yep.
Help me always remember,
Hmm.
that I'm, in service and servitude. So, um, I've heard of something called rewilding, where people buy land just to like let the
Yeah.
land like be wild again and
Hmm.
not develop onto it. Um, so we'll see. I'm renting right now, and that's like not the most efficient like way to use my money. I know that, but it works for right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the cool thing about where I'm at is that a lot of healing oriented people are moving there right now.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly building a community of healers myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if I don't create something, I'll have, you know, plenty of opportunities to collaborate and partner with other people who are building things as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
And, you know, I bring the heart with me everywhere I go. So whatever I'm a part of, you know, I bring like that community building, conflict transformation, the necessity of like the destruction of healing and the creation of the arts, like all of that. I'm sure I will bring with me to whatever next venture. But it's definitely something that the team and I have talked about.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put energy towards that just now. Like, even if it's just like a 1-week retreat, honey, I'll come hang out with you for a week. I do want to quickly, before we go, talk about go back to land ownership, because it's also something that resonates with me. I can't own the earth. You can't do that. That's not, no, you can't own the planet. No, I'm not gonna do that. But the way that I've been able to come into alignment and peace with buying land is I'm a steward of the land. I'm here to protect it. And if my name isn't on this, it's harder for me to protect it. And because I know I have a heart of service and I can speak the universal language, I know I can actually just go to the land, put my hands on the ground and say, hey, you know, where are you at? What are you feeling? What do you want to see happen here? So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. And it kind of pushed me towards another question of how are you feeling about how do I want to say this? I feel like I'm seeing a large trend of healers and Americans specifically moving out of the country. But I just feel like there needs to be a conversation around how to move to these communities and still support the community with our good old American dollar, because there's something in my spirit that's not okay with me moving to Mexico and just taking. I have to give back in some kind of way. I can't just come here and host a retreat for $2,000 and keep all this money to myself when I use your land and your resources to have this. It's just something that I feel like needs to be talked about a little bit more in that regard.
Yeah, yes, for sure. And that's why I haven't bought land yet or even tried to yet, because it's only this last year that I've even started looking. And because when I first came to Costa Rica, it was 10 years ago, and I saw the trend and I saw what was happening, and now it's happened. Where there's like entire communities, you know, of people that moved there, you know, from other places. I don't, you know, I think it is a conversation that needs to continue to be had. If I like lean back a little bit, you know, I know that globalization is real and it's been a thing for decades. And we're only going to mix even more, you know, as humans across the globe, right? Whether it's people who are being forced out of their country, whether it's people being, you know, choosing to move locations, choosing to leave places that aren't good for them, or choosing to move to places that they think will be better for them, you know? So there's just all kind of reasons why, but we are all moving around and we're mixing. And I think we need to learn how to honor life. You know, we need life is the land, life are people. And we need to honor difference, right? And see the oneness in our differences as well. So I think you know, a trend that I feel a little bit uncomfortable with is, you know, Americans moving, or Europeans or whoever moving to another place and then only being with the people who are like them.
Right.
And this happens with them. I'm an immigrant to the United
Mhm.
States. And even here, I struggle with the same thing because my community, my immigrant community, my ethnic community, I guess you could say, mostly stick with themselves.
Mhm.
But I grew up in a family, my dad was always out in the community, the broader community, talking about who he is and sharing information. And then I'm just immersed in that broader community, you
Mhm.
know. And so even the heart, right, is like in a predominantly Black area, where the house I'm in right now that I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Mhm.
So I'm just a firm believer in the ability to connect across differences. And I think that sometimes we have to go out of our way to do that. You know, it's a
Yeah.
conscious choice that we have to make because we, of course, want to be around people who are like us. And especially if you're from a marginalized group, you know, and you're leaving the United States because you're marginalized in the United States, and then you go to another place, you know, of course, you want to find comfort,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, you know, in the sake of like always growing and evolving as living beings, um, you know, I don't, you know, I think we just have to keep asking ourselves questions, you know, and try to keep our heart open.
Yeah.
And so if we come across people who are different from us, being open to them and being humble to learning another
Mhm.
way,
Mhm.
always being open to learning from whoever you come across.
Yeah.
Um, these are some conversations that I hope to um, somehow impact while I'm in Costa Rica, because it
Yeah.
is like it's happening right now, and it doesn't have the same baggage of that the United States has. So, you know, in the United States, talking about equity and race and these type of things is very heavy because there's so much baggage. But down there, it's a little bit different. You know,
Yeah.
there's still baggage, right? Colonization was global, but in the minds of the people,
Mhm.
not as just less barriers, I feel, than there are here. And
Yeah.
so there's an opportunity to really do some deeper work there. It's a really challenging situation
Yeah.
though. It
Yeah.
is like, you know, I've seen models where people who do these retreats and stuff, they collect another bucket of money to be able to like buy some supplies for like a local orphanage, or you know, things like that. Like they partner with local service providers, and then they use the money that they
Right.
make, a part of it, to go towards that. I personally, this is why I want to make my money digitally, because if I'm going to live there, I don't want to be extracting a limited resource from the
Right.
local community. I
Yeah.
have access to the US dollar in
Mhm.
a different way than a lot of other people do. And so I want to use it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I want to go digital. Otherwise, like I could care less, you know, about that
Mhm.
whole world, to be honest. But
Mhm.
it's like, okay, how can I be responsible for myself? And how can I really take accountability for like what I bring, you
Yeah.
know, and then utilize that in a way. So I have visions and ideas of what that
Mhm.
could look like, but I just, you know, I'm gonna move at the pace that
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
makes sense, not do the most.
Yeah.
Um, and always challenge myself and question myself, like, you know, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And that's all that it takes is continuing to question yourself and check in with the flow. Like just check in with the flow, question yourself. Am I there? Are we good? All right, let's go. And not judge yourself if you're just not in a place to give back. Like, I'm getting there, but right now I'm not there, and that's okay. Like, I'm working there. I'm getting it done. So yeah, thank you. Thank you
Can
for
I just add
sharing.
one more thing based on what
Please,
you just said? It
yes.
made me think, like, one of the other like big ahas that I've been having recently is that my wealth is my love and compassion.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, like, I feel that goes farther than money can go.
Mhm.
That's not to say that we don't need money for things. Like, I'm not trying
Right.
to minimize that, but it is also very true that the wounds of separation are in our heart.
Mhm.
And so if we're actually trying to heal those wounds of separation, um, that's a human thing. That comes from just being in relationship with people. And that's something that I have been able to provide, even if I didn't have any money to give to
Yeah.
somebody who was asking for it from me,
Yeah.
but I can like sit and talk with you and have a conversation, and I can like honor your shared humanity.
Yeah.
I can listen to you and learn something from you and give you the gift of being able to share something with me,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know? So I think there's other ways that we can kind of expand
Mhm.
what giving back looks like, and like
Yeah.
actually just being more connected with people in general,
Yeah, that's right.
and like
Thank
the
you
gift
for,
of that.
yeah, because your presence is a ministry and it is a gift. And just me sitting here now, I know that, like, honey, this conversation was everything. It was life-giving. And you're absolutely right. So thank you for making sure to add that in, because that's something that gets overlooked often. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay. Girl, I don't know about you, but I got a lot to do today. What time? What? We've been doing good on time. We're good. So before we go, I want to do a brand new segment for season 2 called I Speak, where the guest and the host exchange affirmations over this next chapter in our life. Now, this chapter can be the rest of this day, the rest of this month, the rest of this year, doesn't matter. We're just going to speak some life over the next now moment. Okay. So I'm going to go first, and then we're just going to ping pong off of each other. Okay. All right. I speak unexpected, delightful surprises over my next chapter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I speak spiritual authenticity
Mm,
and courage.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm. Oh, good. Oh, good. I speak alignment and ease and natural flow. No, not forcing, not trying, just flowing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
I speak a daily remembering of our true abundance.
Ooh, yes. That's the one. Yes. Yes. And on that note, we're going to part ways because I want that energy to be amplified. I want to carry that affirmation in my heart all day today. Say it one more time for me. What did you say?
I speak a daily remembering of our true abundance.
Oh, let me write that down. A daily, no, I'm for real. A daily, y'all better be writing this down too. A daily remembrance of our natural abundance.
True.
True.
Oh,
True.
natural is good too, though.
Oh, I'll say true and natural abundance.
There you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Needed that. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and your precious energy. I wish you well. Like, man, I just feel so inspired. I feel like you just really lit my soul on fire. I feel like I'm talking to my reflection. I'm talking to myself. I want the best for you. I just wish you all the success in the world, because I am looking at someone who has a true heart of service and truly wants to help make this world a better place. And you believe in humanity. You wouldn't be doing all of this if you didn't believe that humanity has the ability to evolve and to grow and to change. So just to have witness and bear witness for the work that you've put in and the play that you've put in. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was everything.
Thank you for the invitation. Thanks for creating the platform and, having the courage to reach out and find people and call them into the space. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, listen. Where can the people learn more about you and the Heart of Dayton? Like, where can we follow you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Darsheel Kaur, it's just my name. And the heart is on Instagram at the_heart_Dayton. And the heart, you can also look on Facebook, the Heart Dayton is there. There's a page that you can follow the page there. I'm on Facebook, Darsheel Kaur, my name. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the
Thank
main
you.
places.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.